It's Bigfoot in the wild. I found him.
Plastic fit. Don't worry, we're getting rid of it.
Heck yeah.
So my name's Tim. I'm a restaurant owner. Something called Johnny Grits is a breakfast and lunch in Tarpon Spring.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I have to wait till I get the mic. I'm Sherry. I own art studio in Tarpon Springs called Brush Tips, and that's what I do.
Awesome.
I'm Beth, and I'm part of Conspiracy Theory Coffee.
We love it.
I do the accounting side, though.
The important side there.
Hey, there's Ken.
I'm Ken, a retired software consultant. Worked for Lawson Software for 27 years.
Also a male model. He's very modest.
I'm Howard. I am one of the co-owners of Conspiracy Theory Coffee, and I get all my instructions from Beth.
He is wise in the ways, isn't he? What was the mulch company you turned me on to?
Chipdrop.com.
Chipdrop.com. We want to say thank you. We've had 2 drops thus far, which they dropped right up there. We're going to head up to. We're going to use that to amend the soil. As you guys all know, soil is life. Healthy soil, healthy life. So we are beginning that process today of spreading that down and then also collecting palms to then layer that and then so it's time consuming, but the beauty of this and people gathering is that you can get a lot more done with more people.
Cool people. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Skunk apes are real.
So I think the most important thing is that people know that there's a safe community out there. Like, whatever they believe, it's probably true, very true, and that there's people that they can come to and they're safe and they feel good and they feel comforted and they know that they're not alone. And that's literally what I want people to know. Like, all of it.
Live, laugh, and love.
Any conspiracy topic that people should investigate right now?
Ooh, what's hot right now? Just investigate them all and, draw your own conclusions. It's, but we are, 575 to 0.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories true, others not.
Interesting. Let's talk to Mr. Conspiracy Theory Coffee. Seems like he's the right person to talk to for this.
Yeah, give him the mic.
Be shy, be careful. You might have to give him a drink or two.
Yeah, get me going. I'm Howard with Conspiracy Theory Coffee. We, my youngest brother and I, started this company because we're both prior Army veterans. He's a Ranger, I was an intelligence guy, so we know a lot about conspiracies, But one of the things that we like for people to take away from it is we do it for the fun. We believe that life should be fun. You should enjoy life, not let these things, everyday stuff get you down. If anybody knows about that more than a veteran, we have a lot of them. As a matter of fact, this weekend we're actually celebrating the loss of those brothers and sisters that are not coming home. So with that, Conspiracy Theory Coffee, we're all about, like I said, we're all about enjoying the conspiracies, whether they're true or not. We find that it's interesting that they seem to have more truth than they do than have falsehoods. So who knows? Maybe those aliens are real, and maybe they are going to come down here and say hi one day.
Now, are veterans typically into this type of thing? Because I've interviewed.
Absolutely. Yeah. You talk to a veteran about conspiracies, they'll tell you their favorite ones. Yeah, it's like, it's what we talk about when we're facing the enemy and death and things like that. So
I know Sherry was talking to me about shadow work, and I've met veterans, and a lot of them face traumas. Have you experienced that too, or they had to face a lot of shadows in their? Every
veteran, and I've learned this, from. I was a combat medic in my first enlistment, and in my second enlistment, the intelligence people picked me up and threatened me with death if I ever told the secrets about what we were going to do and that stuff. So, but anyway, every veteran that I know suffers from anxiety, depression, if you want to call it PTSD, including me. Yeah, we all they used to call it, what was it back in World War I? It was shell shock. And then it became battle fatigue, and now we've actually, I think they've actually said the right words now, PTSD. So to me, I think one of the most important things in life, again, is to enjoy every day that you've got. So
Yeah, thank you.
That
I
good?
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
With a good cup of coffee.
Yes, with a good cup of coffee.
With great design
All
on the
right.
bag.
So I'm Ken, and what I think is most important for people to know is that we need to pull our power back to local, but to our heart. You know, we need to get back to the heart. Instead of giving our power away to politicians, to the federal government, the further away it gets, the worse it is for us. So that's what I think everybody needs to know.
Thank you, Ken. And Sherry, if you don't mind, because we were talking about community, yes, I'm just bringing you in.
No, I love it.
So you were sharing some experiences lately with the spirituality community. So when we're talking about building community,
Guys, like, hey, pay attention.
well, hey, what have you been going through? What have you been noticing, and what can people take away from what has been happening?
Okay, so there's a lot going on with the spirituality and the community that we've been raised in, the mindset that we've been raised in with spirituality and being under biblical law. And it's all great things, but we've been conditioned as women to be told that we don't have a spiritual voice, that we are supposed to be following a man, and that the man is supposed to be the leader all the time. And the men some don't know how to be good spiritual leaders because none of that was ever nurtured in a positive spiritual way. It's under biblical religion. I love the Bible. I love God's word. And he wrote an entire thing of love songs for us, Psalms. But I also know what I feel in my heart, and I know what I see, and I know where I belong to. That part of it is bringing in the feminine energy and showing people that there is a feminine energy and a masculine energy, and we've been told it's Jesus is the only way. And no, like, he had a support team, he had a yin and a yang. There was all of that, and so my goal is just to bridge that. To bring people who have been told that they don't have magic, they don't have spirituality, they don't have gifts, and that if they did, then they were wrong.
And
So-
what if somebody says that sounds new age? What is your response?
So it does sound new age until you actually go through and you dissect the Bible, and it's brand new a bazillion years ago, however old it is. I don't know. I don't like numbers. But when they bring the truth of the Bible in, and the truth of God's word, and the truth from the Old Testament, and then they bring God in and they say, okay, well, here's Jesus, right, on earth, and then the Holy Spirit's in our heart, and Jesus is here to show us a good example and to be that example. And then it's all three in one. So I do have people that are telling me that, like, my kids aren't going to go to heaven because of what I'm doing. All I'm doing is changing generations. All I'm doing is helping people heal from their ancestral pasts and bringing in the spiritual support of their families. And that stuff is real. That stuff is real because the people who have it, they know it in their hearts. And they know it in their souls. And I get to see all that firsthand, and then be a safe place for people to hold that. So
Beautiful.
when you're bringing spirituality into, normal 2.5 kids, white picket fence, house, husband, everyone does great things. We all leave at the same time for work and file in like the Lego movie. That's not real life. That's conditioned life. So I'm here to decondition.
Okay.
Yeah, and just bridge that gap of spirituality. And so it's not new age. It's original God voice, God's truth. Yeah. So if they just go and they go back and they watch and they pay attention, and yeah, Jesus was baptized. Yep. And then that's when he came out of the water and he became full light. Yeah. So
Okay.
and I made a post last night how people need to just baptize yourself. So
It's actually old age, but we're remembering.
Yeah.
right, that's the thing too, is like remembering. remembering, and there's a whole, like, my heart just started beating super fast, because what I'll say is kind of, I know because I see it. I know because I know, and I remember, and I try to explain that, and of course, normal society is like, no.
Can I extrapolate on that?
Yeah, sure. If you give him the mic.
So this is why I believe you know that you know, right? So when you first develop inside the body, it's your stomach to develop first, and it actually has brain cells in it. Then your heart, then your mind. So when they say trust your gut, what you're actually saying is trust your instinct, trust the truth, what you know, Christ, call it whatever you want, but that's where it originates. And unfortunately, we live in a culture now where we're all driving on cruise control. We're not even driving, we're just in cruise control, and we have outsourced almost every aspect of our life in pursuit of leisure, when the only thing that truly makes us feel worthy, that gives us pleasure and true joy, is doing the work. Conspiracy Coffee, you built that. It feels amazing, right? Because you built it. Absolutely. If you were just given that, would it feel as amazing? Would you respect it as much? Absolutely not. So what you're basically doing is saying, get off cruise control and get back to your true authentic self and listen to your voice. I've diminished my flame so much in my life because I noticed that if I shined too bright, people around me didn't like me because I was good at things. And so I just got real quiet and meek. And the only thing I can tell anyone is when you do that, you ruin the environment around you, because that weakness, now we may not have to communicate it verbally, use our throat chakra, but we can feel it on that gut level, and then people begin to mimic you. And now everybody is operating at this low vibrational level when all we all need to do is shine bright and lead by example. And so what I hear in the power is coming, like you have it, and don't ever be, especially in this place, be afraid to speak your authentic truth. And just because we are your people, that's all I can say. And I still have that fear too, someplace, but I'm almost done with it. Like I like the stage now because we need to be, right? We need to be brave.
I love the stage.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I was designed to do just that.
Wonderful.
I mean, I love being in front of people and just speaking light and love over them.
Yep.
And it's like a whole different realm of just light and love and just showing people. And the one thing that I've learned is I can tell now where people come from. So when I look at them, I can tell that, like, where out in beyond here in their spiritual realm, I know where they come from. And I know, and it's kind of cool to be able to see that. And I can tell now too when I know people are part of my spiritual family. And I've taken my human design and I've turned it into being able to recognize people who are projectors like me and letting them know that they aren't alone, and then getting them on the same page so that they can wake up and we can be this for all of you and be able to say, like, here we are, let me show you and let me give you the guidance to get there. So I think that's going to be huge. And I know it's going to be like the next big thing is how we start to go off our human designs and we can make this world exactly what it is, because everything's an energy, everything holds what we want it to. So yeah, it's a lot of spirituality, a lot in clearing shadows and ancestral curses, and there's people that can channel all that, and like channeling is real and it's not voodoo. And I've been told I'm voodoo because I have a garden, or I've been told I'm voodoo because I hang the crystals in my windows so that I have rainbows all around my room. Well, I love colors, so that's why I do it, but it makes me happy and just living in peace and harmony. And I know it's going to happen. I already know it's going to happen. I see it. It's very matter of fact in my head. I see it, and I see everyone's roles, and the more people that I come around, people look familiar to me. Like you looked familiar to me. Like Beth looked familiar to me when I met her.
You look familiar to me too.
Yeah, like we've had conversation before, right? Yeah. And it was like, oh, this is what you're here for. And what we do? We just started going back and forth right away, right? Because we knew our spirits were speaking to each other, our souls. It's all in perfect divine alignment where we're right here. And it's of God. It's of God. And that's what I try to make sure people know, because It's not voodoo, it's not scary, it's not whatever. That's what it is, right?
And what's cool is you're taking action to create the decentralized world. So you're not
Yes.
just like, because there's some people who just talk about spirituality, but they're afraid of talking about everything else.
A lot.
And, getting together with other people and
Yeah,
networking and you do all of that. So that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I just want to build a giant community and a movement and get this out there as we're not religious, but we're of God and we're spiritual. So that's what it is. It's
Sure.
spirituality at its peak, at its finest, and that what God wants, because God is a spirit.
Purest form.
Yeah, in purest form, and God's a spirit. So
Is there anywhere people can maybe reach out to you if they want to, or if you're willing to share?
yeah, there's all kinds of places.
Do you have a website or anything you want?
So my personal webpage, I don't have launched yet because I'm not really good at techie stuff, and I'm trying because I feel like I want to know, but I'm not good at it. So, but I do. I mean, they can look me up on Facebook, which is Sherry Marie, or Brush Tips Art Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just now standing up for myself. I'm just now like opening eyes to people and being full truth. So it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
When I was 1969, during the Vietnam War, I guess the buildup in Cambodia was all the Khmer Rouge was being developing, and you got uncles and people in the politics, people that's in doctors, police, and all that. So they understand, like, these Khmer Rouge, they want to, I guess, get rid of the democracy that's in Cambodia. So my uncle heard about this, so we came to the state when I was maybe 3 years old, probably 1970, and when we came, it was just it was 3 years old, foreign country, different food, different way of living. My story was when I was in Memphis, Tennessee, I should say, shunned by the black, shunned by the white, and so I'm the kid that's, hey, nobody want to be friends with, right? But I kind of built my character a little bit as I grow up, because it made me stronger. Just, knowing that, I got to do better than other kids to get accepted, right? So as I went to grade school and then moved to California, live in Northern California. Northern California is more like a rural area, it's not a big city, and finished high school. Huh? No, North, I was in Sacramento County, or San Joaquin. Yeah. Then we moved to Humboldt, like in the Redding area, Arcata. It's beautiful, Redwood. But until I decided to move south and went to school there and did all that. And that's when I started learning that I'm not the only, different one. Like there's a melting pot. You got different part of Asia, like you got the Pacific Islander, you got Vietnamese, you got Chinese, Filipinos, different. So that's when I start dabbling with different religions. You got your Buddhists, because I grew up as a Southern Baptist, because back in Tennessee, pretty much is you're towards a Southern Baptist, right? So kind of dabble with being a Buddhist, have Hindus friends, Muslim friends and all that. Then I understand more about religion. Religion is just somebody classify you as a Christian, a Buddhist. But I realized being a Buddhist was more, I shouldn't say spiritual freedom. I mean, you're more, you could accept other religion. You growing up as a Christian, you shouldn't believe in the Muslim, how they, what would they believe, or Hindus or different religions. So Buddhists, it doesn't matter if, whatever religion, as long as your heart is good, you treat people with kindness and treat everybody, you're welcome. So when I was, yes, yep. So, I grew up in California for 25, 26 years, then I start traveling the world, That's when I start learning my culture, learning about Cambodia, learning about the Southeast Asia culture. I traveled to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, went to different, Singapore, traveled Europe, backpack through Europe, and then I kind of opened up my eyes a little bit about different culture, what's life's all about, good friends, the way, a lot of people in America that never been outside, younger kids or even older, people that never been outside of the state doesn't understand what's out there. They think, hey, you turn on the switch and the light comes on, you porta potty, you flush the toilet and the water goes down. Fucking they don't have that, believe me. But they're as happy, more content to whatever they had. They're more enjoying life itself. So this is what I want to see. I love this. I love this setup, where you enjoy nature, you enjoy good people, you know where you at in life, like what's your purpose, what's your purpose in life? Or, everybody think like you got to work a 9-to-5 job, you got to have this big house. I been there, done it, big, in California, got to live with the Jones, right? That's what they say, live with the Jones. Got it, out the door. I don't care about that. All that stuff. The only reason I'm here is helping my sister with this restaurant, but I just got caught up with helping her set up her business, getting the restaurant going.
Yeah, right. You fell in love with grits.
With grits, that's it. With grits, right? But what I fell in love with the most is meeting a lot of good people. Like Howard, Beth, my buddy James, meeting different people from all part of the world. Floridian, New Yorker, Jersey. I mean, people from all over the state that migrate to Florida, and that's what I love, and I love it. I love it. So 2 years was my limit, right? But it's been 3, and I'm loving it. Meaning Sherry. Yeah, I know.
It's pretty nice.
But the heat is, yeah.
Listen, this guy just met me and he lied to me the first
Yeah, I did.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, how did all you guys get into truth and conspiracy stuff? Like, usually some people have like an awakening, or it was like 2008 or 9/11, or what was your experience?
Well, for me, it's always, like, I'm into, after traveling the world, like the food, what we eat here in the state, it's just, it's weird where other countries ban all the stuff that we have here, It's something wrong with our government where what they're feeding us, saying is good, is not. So so my thing is with food. That's why I talked to Howard, I talked to Beth, that whatever I put in myself, I put it back to my customer. Like I try to get away of
seeing. Thank you very much for that, by the way. Not putting the bottom line of the dollar before.
Yes. So I rather spend a little bit more money on coconut oil than having seed oil. You see what I'm saying?
Thank you.
I spend a little more. So and I love it, and for me,
It tastes so much better.
yeah, and for me, that is worth more than money. Where to see people come back and say, look, the food is great, and hey, look, my blood sugar is dropping because I had this, or my arthritis because instead of seed oil I'm using coconut oil. You know what I mean? That's the joy of doing what I do. Yeah, soul food. That's the joy of what we want to spread out there. You know what I mean? It's not about making profit. You know what I mean? Of course, I need profit to pay my employee, my cook, whatever. But it's not all about that. You know what I mean? So.
It's so cool to hear that, like I said, from business owners and people who are in that. Like, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
I met so many amazing people in
sure.
Newport Richey and Tarpon Springs.
For
who
sure.
are just open-minded and it's incredible.
So even just growing up, like I said, I've always known it, right? I've always felt it, I've always known it, but then I was always told no. And kind of like he said, keeping up with the Joneses, like that's, everyone wants me to keep up with the Joneses. I tell people, like, this is what society is built. Like, this is what they expect, this is what they want. Because this is what's successful, right? Is blonde hair, blue eyes, nice person, fun, outgoing, the cheerleader, and I'd be like, why do they want me to be like this? Like, why can't they? Yeah, like Beth, yeah. And Beth is here always telling me, like, it's okay, you just go shine. My mom, my sister, yeah. And that they're literally the women that that have let me know like this is a safe place. But I was told probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that I was bad. I shouldn't think the way that I do by people that were supposed to be my family. And I was called names because I loved planting plants. I loved talking to the trees and bees and like everything like that would just make me so happy. And they would tell me that's not right. And so I shut that off a lot. And I went to, okay, I'm going to go to church every Sunday. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do exactly what they need me to do. I'm going to run Bible studies. I'm going to do all this, great stuff. Then the COVID happened in 2020, and I lived in Ohio. And I woke up one night and I was like, we got to get out of here. We got to move to Florida. And wow. I knew I came here in first grade. I knew I was coming to Florida.
Okay.
I said, I need to come to Florida because I'm not walking down 77 from Ohio to Florida, pulling my kids in a wagon, trying to figure out how to grow their food because things are gone, right? In Ohio, you can't grow food. I mean, you can, but like, here's the thing. I don't want to pickle eggs. Like, I can, and I can jar and can a whole bunch of things, but I don't want to. I want to just walk outside where it's nice, and I don't like the cold. So, I said, let's move.
Yeah.
And that was it. We moved. And then another big shift happened where I ended up getting divorced. And that's when I realized, like, this is the craziest thing out here is like my Christian friends, my people that were supposed to be my tribe, the people that, society told me to be like, they turned their backs on me. And they told me I was wrong, and they told me that I was too much, that I was too bright, I was too nice, and they told me to just follow what the Bible says and to just live like the Bible. And I did, and I forgave everybody all the time, and I just loved people, and I kept still getting burned and still getting burned.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of spiritual warfare. Yeah. I mean, this is the truth. So this is what woke me up to realize, like, at night when I go home and I'm sitting there with the crap that's been poured into me all day, nobody's there to help me with it except for me and God. And I had to look inward. And I had to believe what I see because everything that I see happens. Everything that I see, I know with so deep inside in the dreams that I've had, the vision, and it's all truth. And that was my awakening. And that now I'm just, now I just need to just share it with people, like, wake up. I literally want to walk up to people and shake them and be like, wake up. Just love yourself, because once you start to do that, then you're going to have inner peace, and the inner peace is going to bring outer peace. Sure. And just meeting people where they are. Yeah. That's fine. If you believe in aliens, that's okay. That's okay. You can believe in whatever you want, right? Like, you get to create your own world. We all have the power to create our own world because we all have the power of God in us.
Yeah.
And so why are we treating ourselves like trash cans? And why are we letting the government treat us like trash cans? Like, my kids aren't vaccinated. And sometimes people, right, like, I wouldn't even let them put the vitamin K shot. I said, why does he need that? Why do they need that? Well, in case you get into an accident on the way home. Yeah, I'm not getting into an accident on the way home. I already know. Like, I promise you, I already know. And that kind of stuff, and then doing organic, and I know how I feel after I eat food that's not organic, and non-organic bananas, they leave a film in my mouth and I don't like it. So I want organic, right. So, and I'm not a trash can, and I'm not going to let anyone treat me like that. So that was my big awakening, was like, just stop caring what society thinks and just love for my truth.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, I've always resonated with these kind of people, so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go back to my roots.
Yeah.
Of like where my heart is. So
You know,
yeah,
there's a word for fear of truth.
there is.
Aletophobia.
Oh,
What is it?
Aletophobia.
Aletophobia.
Aletophobia. Fear of truth. And I
interesting.
think that's what people have.
I was told in fifth grade, sixth grade that the only way I would be successful was if I married a rich man. And I was like, what?
That's success.
Yeah, that's success, according to my teacher, right?
Well, it'd be successful if you divorced him and you got all the money.
Right.
Now that's
Right.
very American.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, no thank you. I like zero attachment. Any soul ties have to go. No, you got to just be erased from the story. That's one thing is great, like rewriting people's stories and just being able to have that gift and give people that gift is just rewriting their stories. And it's,
Yeah.
and that's the big awakening there because it's just like, I know it's true and it's great things. So, but I know Howard has a good one.
When I was in the military, kind of like what she was saying, but it's a little different than what some people understand it to be. I was actually we were out on a little bit of a jaunt, a bunch of us, and I heard this go by me, and I was like, "What was that?" All right. We walked into a place where we weren't supposed to be. And that was actually a bullet.
Oh, okay.
And so that kind of changed my perspective about a lot of things, about how close we are to being here 1 second and gone the next. And since then, I've had 3 incidences in my life that I know for a fact that I was saved by somebody else that nobody else could have saved me. I have a cardiologist. I had a heart attack 5 years ago, riding down the road, she and I, out of the blue. I just had, the VA, because I go to the VA, just had the VA 7 months prior do a catheterization on me and say, "You're clean." 7 months later, I get this terrible pain in my chest, and I'm going down the road, and I look at Beth, I'm going like, I don't know what it is. We're an hour and a half from Daytona Beach and an hour and a half from Cocoa Beach. We're like in the middle of nowhere. And I pull off on this ladder road in this place full of like old Florida, weeds and nothing around, just 2-lane road. And she looks at me and she says, "What do we do?" In my brain, I'm thinking, let's just keep going towards Daytona, And about the time that we're talking about that, we see bubble of police lights going across the weeds, it's like it's floating across the weeds over there, but it's a road over there that you couldn't see. And about the time I point at him, she says, "I got him." And she ran up on him, flashing her lights and her horn, and he pulls in behind us and he goes, "Can I help you?" And she goes, "I think my husband's having a heart attack." Now, I used to be a combat medic, and I'm going like, wow, she may be right. I'm not having any symptoms of a heart attack. So we get to the hospital, they're waiting on me. From the time that I started feeling the pain to the time, it was on a Sunday, they brought the cardiac team in. They said normally they would put me in ICU and watch me overnight. He said, but for some reason the cardiologist said, "I don't like his EKG, or we're coming in." So he comes in. Only thing I remember is the 2 ladies in scrubs come in, they grab me out of the emergency room, run me down the hall. I don't remember anything after that until I'm in post-op. I get into post-op and he looks at me and he says, "You're a very lucky man." He said, "I had minutes, if not seconds, before I could save you, or I'd be talking to your wife." He said, and he says, "And I questioned the fact that I actually saved you." He says, "I don't think I did." And I mean, it's coming from the doctor. He says, "I don't think I was the one that saved you." So that kind of brings you around to a more spiritual awakening than it does a religious awakening. You look at it. I hit a deer running 70 miles an hour on a Harley. Still here. 12% category survivors according to insurance people. So when people say, "Why do I feel the way I do?" I believe we're all here for a reason. And when people can find that reason and they can awaken to that, they will reach their full potential. So
Thank you
that's
so much.
pretty much it, man.
Thank you for
So
sharing.
I just bared my soul. So thanks, sir.
man.
I appreciate it.
All right, so what do we got here?
This is Conspiracy Theory Coffee. It's all organic from Honduras right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You got me on the spot now.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for bringing it. Look at this. We got Bigfoot on here. Also, what is this? Loch Ness Monster,
Loch
you
Ness
said?
Monster.
And then we got
we got the unicorn, which we call Bubbles.
There we go.
Right. And then
Conspiracy Theory Coffee. Check that out.
Yeah, and then we have the bird, which is the biomechanical infiltration reconnaissance device, because people believe that birds are actually drones from the government.
Oh, okay.
And then we have the lunar
I've heard the
landing.
theory.
Yep. And we have the lunar landing 1969,
Yep.
which is
Shot
one of
by
our
Kubrick.
Yeah. And yes, exactly. You know, somebody says, "Well, what do you believe? They landed or they didn't?" I'm going like, "Yes." You know, and they're going like, well, "What does that mean?" I said, "Just like when somebody asks me if the Earth flat or is the Earth round." Yes.
Yes.
You know,
He'll be
I'm
running
never
for
gonna-
office next year, and you better vote because yes, he will do
Thank
good
you,
for
man.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome.
No,
Thank you for
here's
showing
what's
me.
amazing about this, Corey. Is like, so I just got back from Hollywood shooting History's Greatest Mysteries, where I get to talk about sea monsters and werewolves.
Cool.
And like for him to show up all of a sudden with coffee, and it's, I don't know, I feel like we're all so isolated that actually are open-minded to this.
Yes.
So it's amazing to meet you guys and make you a part of the fam, you know,
Appreciate it,
or
appreciate it.
we be a part of your fam.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely. Yes.
yeah, that's rad.
Check it out. Conspiracy Theory Coffee. Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
The future is now.
Yes, Bigfoot Food Forest. We're starting out. Glad to have local businesses here to join us in the process. Ken, thank you so much. Everybody, take care.